are unmasking for you. We are now socially distanced and we're outside. But just a reminder, as you said a minute ago, if you're not able to be socially distanced, keep your mask around. And if you have a washable one, I'm reminding myself and my friends, let's wash them out overnight. It's a good idea.
Good practice.
I'm your host, Melinda Arndt. This is Michael Halley, City Councilman here in Fairfield for over 10 years, and bringing us up to date on things going around in Fairfield, many of which are happening outside, and we're sitting outside in beautiful Central Park. Little ambient traffic noise.
Yeah, you might hear some construction sounds in the background.
Yeah, but Jason will help take care of that. We have a number of things to talk about. We will talk about some outside projects going on a little later, but kind of top of the mind things that have been happening at City Council. There's one about a little more public awareness of police training and policies.
That's right, yeah. So in light of George Floyd's murder in Minneapolis at the hands of police officers, a lot of people around the country are much more interested in police procedures, especially use of force, arresting procedures, etc. It is important to note here in Fairfield, there have been no incidents or reports of police brutality or anything along those lines. Still, people are interested and they want to have a dialogue with our police department. So the police department is working on finalizing a policy that they've been trying to finalize for most part of the year.
Getting it written out.
Getting it kind of fleshed out and ready. It's 350 some pages, so it's quite long, but we're also waiting until we hope that in September we can have a public town hall meeting where people can attend in person and have a dialogue between citizens who are interested in this kind of thing and the city police department. So the plan is to have more technical or legal type questions submitted ahead of time so that detailed answers can be provided, and then have a public dialogue. It's about policy, but it's also about prioritizing what the police are doing. And the police do like to get that kind of feedback from the community, because if we want them to do certain type of work more than they're doing and others less, then that helps them kind of fine tune what they spend their time on.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of people in town who are interested in this, and it'll be a good dialogue to have, really regardless, just to kind of create more transparency in exactly how everything works.
Great, so I bet we'll have an update on that next month at the end of August, when things will be closer to having that document and hopefully the soft opening, as you say, of maybe the Sondheim or some other venue where people can spread out. And
if we can maintain the 6 foot distance, we should be able to do it in person.
Yeah, so that was one item, and we have we have a multicultural advisory committee.
Yeah, and that's another thing that kind of an extension of George Floyd's death is there's interest in really embracing our multicultural nature and helping people learn more about each other and breaking down some of those barriers. So the mayor brought this idea of a multicultural advisory committee that other cities have incorporated to the council, and we voted to move ahead and create that as just an ad hoc committee for now. So it's not a codified committee, but it's one that exists kind of at the will of the council. And that one's going to be more about like celebrations and better communication. So not really about the police side of things, but about the community itself. And sitting here on Central Park, I'm reminded that for the last 2 years, there's been an event called World Fairfield.
Yeah.
That was organized, that was all about showcasing many of the cultures of residents here in Fairfield. So that kind of event hopefully will get a little boost, and that this committee can be part of that.
We are so fortunate to live here in Fairfield, where people from so many other countries and backgrounds, and even other parts of the U.S., call Fairfield home and bring those perspectives with them.
Yep.
So this cultural committee sounds great.
Yeah, and our 2020 comprehensive plan included an updated demographic, and Fairfield is more diverse with people from different areas than most of Iowa. So we already have a lot of diversity, and for the most part we celebrate it. I can't think of any conflict or violence that's been a problem. We don't have any gangs that I'm aware of, so for the most part we get along pretty well.
Yeah, thank heavens.
Yep.
Well, I got my cheat sheet here. We're sitting right in view of our next topic, and that is
this one's a good
tables. The tables in Central Park. I hope many of you have been out enjoying them. Anytime I go by the square, almost any time, there are people at the tables, especially at lunchtime. But
so I'll give a little background. In 2017, well, let's go back even further. In 2015, I'm going to go back further. In 2010, I was elected as a city council member, and immediately I was asked, can we get some tables on Central Park for sitting at and eating at? And so I couldn't really make it happen. In 2015, the truck went by. In 2015, we did the community visioning program, and they designed like quite an extensive seating area on the east-west sidewalks here in Central Park. That was a little overkill. So Stephen Pedrick and I took that and pared it down to 4 stations with 2 tables each, so 8 tables total. And then I brought that to the council and I got kind of a cold response. So I pared it down to just let's put 2 in and just see how it goes, because there was a concern that by putting tables in Central Park, we'd invite more trash and it would just trash the park. And that failed 4-3. 4 council members said no and 3 said yes, and that's a failure. So I just let it go. The next year, 2018, the Park and Rec Board decided to put 2 wooden picnic tables, so standard picnic tables that we have in other parks, on the east side of the square. They've been there ever since, and no additional trash on the square. People seem very respectful. They throw their trash away. They're used quite a bit, and then COVID-19 hit, and the restaurants around the square, a lot of them are only open for takeout.
Yeah.
So eating on the square just took off. And Park and Rec added 2 more tables a couple months ago, so now we have 4. And that's still not enough. I'm looking right now, all the tables are full, and there are people eating at benches
that they've pulled over to the stone
that they pulled over
benches.
And they're just eating on their lap. So this is just how this park is used. And I brought the project back at 2 of my fellow council members' request, and it passed 4-3. So a little shuffle of council members, you get a different result. So it's official city project, and just found out we had applied for a grant with the Greater Jefferson County Foundation.
Yeah.
And we got the full amount.
All right.
Which is about almost half the project, or maybe a little less than half the project. So that grant will pay for all the tables. So we're already halfway there.
Yeah, and the drawings I saw you had up last time, maybe they'll be up this time too.
Yeah, I think Jason can show the model, but metal tables that are the same manufacturer as the metal benches, so that will maintain a unified look. And then brick pavers that match the pavers and the crosswalks. The idea is that once it's installed, someone who's new to town would not be able to tell that it wasn't installed at the same time as the rest of the streetscape stuff. So I'm just trying to maintain that look. 2 of the 8 tables will have a wheelchair accessible side, so a place where someone can pull up on a wheelchair, which the current tables do not. And yeah, it's just it's a timely project with so much outdoor dining. And now that we got that grant, heck, if we could raise the rest of the money, we can maybe even get it put in yet this year.
Fabulous.
That would be the soonest. Otherwise, spring 2021.
Yeah, I think social distancing will be around for a while. Eating outdoors is always popular, no matter if we're in a pandemic or not.
Exactly. And I think, even when the restaurants allow people to come in, there will be a number of people who just won't want to right away.
Al fresco dining. We're getting used to it.
Yeah. So it'll be, even though some people, traditionalists, feel like it'll change the nature of the park, the spots where it's going just have bushes and mulch in them right now, so it's not taking out any usable space or any lawn space. So I think that for the most part, this will be a huge benefit. So when these go in, the wooden tables will leave. I believe that's the plan. But heck, we could probably use all 8 of the metal and the wooden ones and still have overflow at this rate. So
well, when I've gone by at non-meal times, I see people reading or working on their laptops, sitting at one of those tables.
Bring your computer over, you can read a book, you can do a puzzle, you can play chess or checkers. The table is not just for eating. But yeah, I
I'm
can't stop
excited.
looking around because this place is packed today, even though it's kind of a hot summer day. It's just, this park it's a popular place, and with all the restaurants right here, it just makes sense to have some spaces to eat.
It does. Well, another recap on some more outdoor projects, and
Yep.
especially before, you got a little bug going right up your
Oh yeah,
little
a stink
buddy there.
bug. He's all right.
Before the backup horn starts beeping again
yeah.
for the close by project.
Yeah, we
we've
can talk about that real quick.
Okay.
So that's the city crews reconstructing the alleyways. They've done different parts of the alleys, these different summers, and they're kind of chipping away at it. And so now they're doing the blocks between Burlington and Broadway and Court and B. So they're redoing all of those. And right before we started, there was some incessant beeping that fortunately has stopped. So if we finish really quickly here, maybe we can get it done before they start beeping again. But
Yeah.
so that's the city crews do that, and they save a lot of money by not paying a private contractor. And that's always the case. The city crews, you know, we're just more efficient funding-wise because we're not a for-profit.
Yeah.
You know, we're a non-profit, so we don't need to make money. We just need to pay our workers for their time. So city crew work is always going to be less expensive than private contractor.
Excellent.
Sometimes you need private contractors for some of the stuff like wastewater plant.
Yes, now and if you ride the trails, I'm sure you've been aware of the areas that are being worked on
Yeah.
for that project, and the progress continues to be made, I know, from Chautauqua Park walking and
Yep.
riding.
Progress continues, but it's still going to be probably till next year till all the new sewer pipe is laid. But what is getting close to being done is the actual wastewater plant, the treatment plant.
Uh-huh.
And that project did drag on partly because they discovered when they drained one of the clarification basins, it was just way worse shape than anyone imagined.
Huh.
And it's like, okay, we got to redo this.
Yeah.
Luckily the funds were there to do it. So it's a little bit more work, takes a little more time, but it's getting very close. It's almost to the point we can say it's substantially complete, which is a big deal. Actually, I think we voted to make it substantially complete, even though there's a few ticket items remaining. But that's a big deal. That's a 21, if you add the change orders, $22.5 million project.
And many, many years.
Many years in the works, required by the Iowa DNR, required by the US EPA, and it's basically brought our wastewater plant into the next century and ready for growth. This plant can handle a bigger city.
Wonderful.
With more going on.
Cool. So there's our wastewater treatment update for all the pipes. Got the downtown alleys. The Burlington and 9th pedestrian crossing.
Yep. So the concrete work is done.
Yeah.
But the new push button crossings are on order, so they might be
Okay.
a month or so.
I wondered, know, parts looked ready, but I thought, what's missing? So that's what's missing.
So the push buttons, once the electronics are installed, then they'll put the high visibility crosswalk across Burlington in 2 locations. So if you go and look now, you see kind of what's happening is instead of having people cross really in the middle of all 4 roads, we pushed them out so that if someone were traveling on 9th Street, they would not interfere with the pedestrians. So they're going through 9th Street, and we put the crossings in a safer location. They're right where the people on Burlington stop. So
Yeah.
when you have the pedestrian crossing right by where the vehicles are parked, the visibility is much better. Everyone
Yeah.
sees each other much better. So the crossings that'll go across Burlington will be special high visibility, and then the 2 that'll go across 9th will just be the same as like the white paint everywhere else. But between the high visibility, the new location, and the new crossing signaling, should have a much, much safer pedestrian crossing. And it can set your mind at ease if you're driving through there as well, because it is a little bit, I always go on a little bit high alert when I go through that intersection.
Yeah, because there's that unevenness of the street.
Of 9th Street.
I mean, it doesn't meet directly across Burlington, and there's a jog. So.
Yeah. And now it's also more ADA accessible, so more wheelchair accessible. You'll notice the sidewalk kind of does this little...
I noticed that.
Well, the reason is it has to have a platform, a flat space if a wheelchair comes up, it has to be able to turn.
Ah.
So it's flat, and then it kind of goes down and back up. So it kind of creates a little, I think it actually might be fun to ride a bike through there. But it's just part of the requirements. It's It's paid for primarily by a grant from the Department of Transportation, so they have certain standards, and we want to make the whole town ADA accessible, and we're working on it like one intersection at a time. So this will be really good when it's done.
Yeah, well, let's mention, I know we like to try to keep these concise, but we'll just take another minute to mention, because by the time the end of August, this will have happened already, the August 8th bike ride.
Oh, the bike ride.
I think I read Andy Hellman's article. There were about 30-something in the low 30s on this last Saturday's ride, the gravel ride, which was a kind of a tough ride. People got quite a workout. I actually didn't go on it. But the one coming up, August 8th, that's going to be the loop trail.
That's a loop trail ride, much easier, much more relaxed, much more family friendly. Yeah, I like the gravel ride. They're like, the easy one is 25 miles. and then they go from there, 45 and 60 something.
But the weather is what made that.
Just a smooth 25 miles on gravel, no big deal.
Yeah. No, there was some sand, there was some dirt as well on that ride, and I think it was a fun ride for those who did it, but the weather was so humid and hot, which can happen, and that not everybody found it, easy.
Well, now we're talking real quick. This is about the 1-year anniversary of RAGBRAI. RAGBRAI was here about a year ago, and I saw the Visitors Bureau post a few kind of remember back, and they also posted from 2013 when we broke the world record for the most false mustaches. So it's a fun time of year for reminiscing. We had a huge party here last year, and then again in 2013. We don't know what the future is for RAGBRAI or those kind of rides, but it was a lot of fun and very successful event both times.
Right, and all across Iowa is getting a break from hosting RAGBRAI, because there's no RAGBRAI or the other ride across Iowa. Those can't happen during COVID. But that's why these regional rides, this Fairfield sponsoring this ride, I think was a good start. And now the August 8th ride should be pretty fun.
Yep, you can still sign up.
Yeah, great job from the Chamber for helping support that ride, and City of Fairfield. And by golly, I guess we'll see you at the end of August. We got still some good summer weather to go.
Yep. Better mask up.
Put our masks back up. We can do a virtual high five. I always, with earrings, I've lost so many earring backs, but I still wear them. All right, I'll hold this. We can scoot back together, air high five. Catch you next time on CityBiz.